In the charming village of Willowbrook, life moved at a leisurely pace. The villagers were a tight-knit bunch, always ready to lend a hand or share a laugh. But the most beloved resident by far was Old Man Thompson, a retired farmer with a penchant for tall tales and practical jokes. His farm, just on the outskirts of the village, was home to a variety of animals, including his mischievous goats. One summer's day, Old Man Thompson decided it was time for his annual prank. He had a twinkle in his eye as he prepared to unleash his most ambitious plan yet, the Great Goat Escapade. His goats, known for their cleverness and curiosity, were the perfect partners in crime. Thompson's goats were not ordinary goats. They were escape artists, having honed their skills over years of wriggling through fences and slipping past gates. The leader of the pack was a particularly cunning goat named Houdini, aptly named for his knack for vanishing acts. On the morning of the escapade, Old Man Thompson went about his chores as usual, whistling a cheerful tune. But unbeknownst to the villagers, he had left the gate to the goat pen slightly ajar. It didn't take long for Houdini and his cohorts to notice the opportunity. With a collective nod of mischief, they slipped out and made a beeline for the village. The first to spot the goats was young Timmy, who was playing in his front yard. His eyes widened as he saw the herd trotting down the road. "Mom! The goats are loose," he shouted, running inside to alert his mother. Soon, the whole village was in an uproar. Shopkeepers, bakers, and blacksmiths alike dropped what they were doing to chase after the wayward goats. The scene was pure chaos, goats darting through gardens, leaping over fences, and even nibbling on Mrs. Jenkins' prized roses. The villagers, armed with brooms, aprons, and whatever they could find, scrambled to round them up. Houdini, true to his name, led the villagers on a merry chase. He darted into the bakery, causing flour to fly everywhere, then dashed out the back door, leaving a trail of goat hoof prints. He hopped onto a parked cart, tipping over a basket of apples, which rolled down the cobblestone street, adding to the pandemonium. Meanwhile, Old Man Thompson sat on his porch, chuckling heartily as he watched the chaos unfold. He sipped his lemonade, thoroughly enjoying the spectacle. His old friend, Mayor Miller, approached, hands on hips and a wry smile on his face. "Thompson, you old rascal, this has your fingerprints all over it," the mayor said, shaking his head. "Just a bit of fun, Miller," Thompson replied with a grin. "Keeps everyone on their toes." Back in the village, the chase continued. The goats seemed to have a knack for evading capture, slipping through small gaps and outmaneuvering the villagers at every turn. At one point, they found their way into the schoolhouse, where Miss Prudence was teaching her morning class. The children erupted in laughter and cheers as the goats pranced around the room, much to Miss Prudence's exasperation. "Out! Out, you naughty creatures!" she cried, waving her ruler at them. As the day wore on, the villagers grew tired but no less determined. They devised a plan to lure the goats back to Thompson's farm with a trail of carrots and cabbage leaves. It was slow going, but bit by bit, the goats began to follow the trail, their curiosity piqued by the promise of a tasty snack. Houdini, however, was not so easily swayed. He eyed the villagers suspiciously, sensing a trap. But even he couldn't resist the lure of a particularly large cabbage leaf, and he reluctantly joined his fellow escapees on the path back to the farm. When the last goat was finally corralled back into the pen, the villagers let out a collective sigh of relief. They were tired, covered in dirt and goat hair, but they couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the day. Old Man Thompson approached, a twinkle in his eye and a broad smile on his face. "Thank you all for the help," he said, tipping his hat. "I reckon the goats had quite the adventure." "Next time, Thompson," Mayor Miller said, wiping sweat from his brow, "how about you keep your pranks to yourself?" "Oh, but where's the fun in that?" Thompson replied with a wink. The villagers laughed and shook their heads, knowing that life in Willowbrook would be much duller without Old Man Thompson's antics. As they dispersed, heading back to their homes and shops, they couldn't help but share stories of the day's events, each one more exaggerated than the last. That evening, as the sun set over the village, Old Man Thompson sat on his porch, Houdini at his side. He scratched the goat behind the ears and chuckled softly. "Well, Houdini, we did it again," he said. "What do you say we start planning next year's escapade?" Houdini bleated in agreement, and together, they watched the stars come out, content in the knowledge that there would always be another adventure waiting just around the corner in the quaint, quirky village of Willowbrook.